For those of us who do not know who are you and what do you do?
My name's JP the Rockstar. I'm a hip hop artist. I'm an R&B artist. I've done blues music. I've done all kinds of different styles of music, every style of music, country music. I'm known for playing the guitar. That's kind of why the Rockstar things. That's what the Rockstar thing's about. Uh, you know, and I'm very artistic. I like to joke around and say I'm autistic, but I'm not really autistic. But like seriously, like very artistic. I like to do things a little bit different. I don't like to be like anyone else. I like to be me. Um, One of the things that we do is just we try to create music that is relatable to people, and we try to do it in a different way that's not been done before. So that's kind of who I am, man. I'm JP the Rockstar. I'm the dude.
Where did you come up with the name JP the Rockstar?
JP the Rockstar. So it's kind of funny. So I've been known for many years in different genres of music doing playing rock guitar, and even in different genres of music. So when I decided I wanted to get into the hip hop thing, I was a real big fan of Chance the Rapper. And so I was like, Chance the Rapper. I love Chance the Rapper. And then I was like, man, I'm JP the Rockstar. And so that's kind of how that came about. That's how that started. Kind of stuck. People were already calling me Rockstar before that anyway, just because of the way that I play guitar and like my stage presence and stuff like that. So that's kind of how that came about.
Where are you from?
I'm from Bentonville, Arkansas, home of Walmart, baby. I grew up in a poor city I grew up poor in a city that was very wealthy. So Walmart put a lot of money into Bentonville. Growing up, we grew up real poor out in the country, and there's not a lot of natives from Bentonville anymore. Not a lot of people, I grew up in Bentonville. My mother graduated from Bentonville High School. My grandmother went to a little country school on the outskirts of Bentonville. My grandfather did the same school as well. So my family's been in Bentonville for many, many years. Yeah.
Talk to us about your childhood growing up in
My
Bentonville.
childhood. For us, it was a little bit rough. I've got some older brothers, 7 and 8 years older. And so when they moved out, it was kind of like all the older men in my family had died. My older brothers moved out. So for our childhood, it was like my mother and my grandmother who raised us. And they were homemakers, you know what I mean? And so it wasn't like they were career women. And so we were real poor. And, I quit school when I was 14, went to work full time to help support the family. My younger brother quit school, went to work full time. We just kind of had to fill those shoes. So, we kind of grew up real poor and then taking on those man responsibilities real early to help provide for the family. So it was kind of rough, but when you're young, it's exciting. And then when you get to be a little bit older, you're like, man, I've been working since I was 14 full time. I wanted to go to school. I enjoyed school. Would have loved to have gone to college. That just wasn't an option for me. I didn't even get to go to high school, man, really, So, but we were loved. I mean, that was one of the things about growing up with my family was that it was like there was so much love that nobody even recognized the fact that we were that poor, The struggle financially was made up for by the love and the togetherness that my family always had, So we were lucky for that, for sure.
When did you get introduced to music for the first time?
So I come from a long line of musicians. So since I was a little baby, my family has been getting together and playing music for a long, long time. I love to tell the story about my grandmother and her siblings. She comes from a pack of 10. So she had 10, there was 10 of them. She had 9 brothers and 9 sisters. Well, 9 brothers and sisters. There was 5 girls and 5 boys. My great-great-grandparents were music teachers in church, not official like call, we're talking poor people. So they were like church music teachers. So the boys, her brothers, my grandmother's brothers, all had a band, 5 of them. And what happened was when the boys would leave, the girls would jump on the instruments because there was 5 girls too, right? So then the granny used to tell the story about how upset the boys would get when they leave and the girls get on the instruments. Anyway, as a baby growing up, I got to experience my great uncles and my great aunts, playing music together. And then my my uncles, my first uncles, a lot of them play guitar. I have an Uncle Floyd, who's just like an amazing blues guitarist. And then my older brother was a guitarist. Just about everybody in my family is. My younger brother's a guitarist. Of course, like I said, my grandmother was a guitarist. So it's been one of those things. I mean, they have pictures of me performing when I was a baby, So, yeah, been at it a minute.
When did you get introduced to rap music in particular?
So introduced to rap music?
Like introduced, like when did you, what was that song or that artist that you listened to that made you say, I want to do that. I can do that.
Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? So I was a huge Master P fan whenever I was young. I mean, like I would rock around, like we would roll around. We ended up moving to Rogers. And, I had the kicker comps, in the old Saturn, you know what I mean? Like, and stuff when I was 16, rolling around, bumping Master P, obviously Biggie and Tupac and all that jive and stuff. I still was a performer, though. I performed a lot of other styles of music. I was a blues player first, and transitioned to a bunch of different styles of music. But my band would do hip hop covers for fun. Some of the examples of songs that we would do would be like Digital Underground's The Humpty Dance, you know what I mean? And that was like a popular amongst people. Like people loved to hear that song. My older brother's so funny on stage, so like he would do, we would bounce back and forth. We would do songs like And Then I Got High by Afro Man. Some of those, and it was always a top 40 song. I was like, we're not doing it if it's not top 40s, but top 40s tracks that would make, the crowd get involved. And that's kind of where it started. Then I started incorporating some rap verses into some of my reggae and ska stuff, some of my original music with the band there. And then it transitioned to where my oldest son, who was 12 at the time, came to me and said, Dad, I want to get into music. I'm ready. And I'm like, all right, bro, yeah. I was 12 when I started playing guitar. It's perfect. I'll call the music store, they'll shut it down. Just me and you will go in there together, we'll pick out the perfect guitar for you. And he's like, nah, Dad. And at this time in my life, I had a really successful country act going, like a Southern rock country act going. He's like, nah, Dad, I want to do rap music, man. Like I'm not interested in playing the guitar right now. I really just want to be a rapper. And I'm like, all right, so let's open some lanes for you. So then that's whenever I started doing a lot of original hip hop and really kind of diving into it. About 6 months later, he decided he wanted to be a basketball player instead of a rapper, which he's a very talented basketball player. But fortunately for me, and I've had some success with the hip hop stuff, so we've continued that. And so, it's been dope.
I want to go back to the genres that you started in before you got to hip hop. So did you start in blues and then country and then rap? Was that the trajectory?
Kind of. So I started in blues. When I started playing guitar at the age of 12, I started playing guitar. By the time I was 13, I entered into a thing called the Little League of Entertainers, and I'm not sure if they still have it or not. American Kids, the Little League of Entertainers. And so we would do competitions. It was a competition-based thing for singers, performers, and whatnot. So when I was 13, I started competing, and we did all different styles of music. So, but I was in love with the blues, right? And so at 14, I moved to South Florida. I started doing some touring with the blues thing, which was cool. I toured the southern United States, hit a bunch of the House of Blues and a bunch of different places like that. Keep in mind, this was back whenever like Johnny Lang and Kenny Wayne Shepherd were real popular, and stuff. And so then I transitioned out of that. I transitioned into kind of like rock music after that. I came back to Northwest Arkansas, started a band called 100 Proof, and we did a lot of rock music. Of course, I was a big Sublime fan too, so we did a bunch of Sublime covers. So that kind of helped to get the punk rock and the reggae kind of ska style stuff involved. We did country music because we're country, you know what I mean? Come from the country. So really, it was kind of one of those things where it was just kind of like thrown all together. There's not really a time. I mean, there was a time when I was really into blues music, but then beyond that, it was more of into music in general, right? So for me, it's more like I love all genres of music. You know, I could play classical guitar if that's what you're looking for. You know, we could do country guitar, we could do rock guitar, we can do, and then the same thing vocally. Being a performer who was taught to compete as a performer, I was taught that you have to have that thing, I guess, if that's a good way of saying it. You know, you've got to be able to attack whatever it is that you're being challenged with. So, I mean, all the way to punk rock. I had a punk rock band when I was young. I mean, I've done every genre of music, man, that there is. And not necessarily in an order, just kind of randomly, which is kind of funny, you know, but yeah, so.
Which genres are your favorite? Is it rap?
So, you know, one of the things, I love hip hop music. One of the reasons why hip hop's probably my favorite genre is because hip hop is like the only genre that you can do and incorporate other genres of music. And it's okay. If you're in any other genre, let's say you're in rock, let's say you're in the rock genre. You've got EP you dropped with 3 songs that are rap. And then you decided, the 3 songs that are rock. And then you decided, you know what, I want to drop a song that is of a different genre. For some reason, the way that the fan bases are built and the way that everything is built, people frown on that, you know. They're like, wait a minute, man, you're supposed to be a rock guy. Now, why are you over here doing this, you know? But in hip hop, one of the things I love about hip hop is that, you know, you could literally do any genre of music in hip hop. And it's accepted. It's cool. It's interesting, right? People are like, wow, that's different. And so that's one of the things. That's probably why hip hop has become my favorite genre of music for writing and recording and performing, is because I get to be me. I get to do whatever kind of genre I want. If I feel like doing a classical style beat, I can do a classical style beat. There's, you know what I mean? And nobody's going to look at you and go, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? It's more like, it's a little bit more interesting. It's a little bit more like, oh, okay. And so that's one of the things I love about hip hop, is that you can just mix any genre of music. And so like, that's, as far as like the way that I grew up and stuff, you know, I was kind of bred for that, you know, to do different genres. So I love it. It's awesome.
Talk to us about your experiences in the local hip hop scene.
Okay. Yeah. In the local hip hop scene, you know, at Fayetteville, I got to say, you know, Northwest Arkansas is still building it, right? Arkansas in general, I like to think of Arkansas in general as one big local scene, because outside of Fayetteville, you know, you got Little Rock and there's a couple other cities, you know, but mostly, you know, what you would call a local artist in the state of Arkansas is someone that actually travels almost regionally, because they're constantly having to travel in Arkansas, right? Because we have just a bunch of little towns all over the place. And so, you know, I think that when we talk about the local scene, you know, there's a lot of great stuff going on. We definitely had a bunch of motion for a while there, and I was real proud of it. And I'm still real proud of a lot of things that go on. There's some things in the local scene that, you know, people are using other people just to try to make a dollar. And I hate that. And if you know me and you follow me, I'm very outspoken about it, because I think it's unacceptable. When we're talking about, a lot of people like to talk about doing business, but if you're going to do business, you got to do good business. If you're not doing good business, you're not going to last. You're not going to make it. And so I think that the most important thing is that the hardest part with the local scene is there's a big mix up between, you got half these people, they're like, man, we could really do something if we come together. And then you got another half who are like, yeah, we should come together, but they're only saying that for their own personal gain. They don't think of it as a whole. It's not really like if you're getting a little bit of motion, it makes them so jealous, you know, that they start acting weird and moving funny because of their own weird jealousy stuff. And it's like, bro, like, you know, I hate to say it, but Arkansas is really one of them tough states right now where like we're really mixed up, man. Like we're really mixed up. There's too much jealousy, too much weird stuff going on with people where people don't understand that if this guy gets on over here, that's going to bring attention to the whole state. And that gives you an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? But because you weren't the first one to do it, it's not cool. And I can't get behind that. I can't support that. That's not me. That's not my brand. Okay, well, that's silly. That's not good business, you know? So that's how I feel about the local scene. I think that there's definitely needs some work. You know what I mean? Definitely needs some good leadership where people are going to come together and be like, all right, look, I mean, sometimes you got to shoot people straight. You know, sometimes you just got to look at people and be like, listen, man, you need to get a hold of yourself. You know, I'm sorry that you feel like it's great that you feel like you're the best in the world. That's great. But this dude right here, you know, is the guy who's making motions for Arkansas. So let's get behind him and let's make that happen so that we can draw more people to our state. We can draw more people and more attention to our state, you know, and then you can benefit off of that. But that's not the way that Arkansas sees it, unfortunately. Arkansas a lot of times sees it like, that dude's getting love. Ooh, it should be me. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's sad, but it's true. It is what it is. I think that until we get past that on the local side of things, until we can really get past that, get some leaders in here that are really going to do some genuine leadership, you know, it's going to stay the same probably. But to me, I mean, listen, I love my state. I support my state. But, I mean, I perform on a regional and national basis. So to me, what Arkansas decides to do as a local community, you know, I want to help where I can, but it doesn't affect me that much, you know. I just do my own thing. So I'd like to see some people come together though. I'd really like to see it, like, as opposed to just being about money or just like, hey, you know. Well, here's an example. If you're a rap artist and you're new, I see you paying a little bit of money one time to get on a show to showcase your skills, okay? But these people, these artists, they get stuck in that. And what are they doing? They're doing these same showcase shows. And it's like nobody's teaching them how to build a real fan base because they're not performing for fans, they're performing for other artists. Well, those artists are not going to be, don't get me wrong, you can be an artist and be a fan. But as an artist, as a working artist, they're not going to be what a real fan is. You know what I'm saying? Like these people, a lot of people need to get out and get away from that. They need to build their own fan base of people who don't do music, who enjoy music, who consume music. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the things that I feel blessed about. I have people, fans that consume my music. They're not rappers, they're not singers, they're not musicians. They just consume music. So it's like one of the benefits that I have is having that fan base that consumes music. There's nothing more than just love and celebration and stuff with that. So to the newer artists, you know, get out there, showcase your skills, pay to get on a show. That's cool. Do your business, you know, and network. But be more focused, less focused on that, more focused on gaining a real fan base of people who support you, of people who enjoy your music, who are going to consume your music, and don't have a foot in the game other than just being a consumer, you know, because that's what realistically is going to make you successful as an artist, in my opinion. So,
what advice do you have to new artists who have to come up with the money to support their artistry? You know, you have to pay for studio time, videos. There's a lot of things that you need to become even locally, a well-known artist locally.
Yeah.
To then get you to the next step to be a national, regional known artist at that point. Like, what advice would you give to artists that have to, you know, spend all this money?
I mean, I think when you're coming in as a new artist, it's really difficult because you don't know exactly where to place your money correctly. Okay. It takes money to make money. And if you're outside of that, you know, you're not gonna get very far, man. I mean, truthfully, right? Because like you said, you got to buy studio time. You got to. You know, you've got to buy photo shoots. You have to. You have to do certain things. So it's going to, if you want to be an artist, you know, you're going to have to invest some of the money, which means you're going to have to get out. You're going to have to work, you know, do whatever you got to do to earn that money, and then have the money to invest in what you want in your craft, right? I think that the most important thing is spending your money wisely, okay? Having a plan, executing your plan. So we have this little saying, it's called plan your work, work your plan. It's real simple. So if you plan, let's say you have a single, okay? Man, I got this song I wrote. I'm a brand new artist. I got this song I wrote, and I think the world's going to love it. You know, I love this track. So, all right, so you plan your work. Well, I need a studio space. Where do I want to record? Who do I want to record with? What's it going to cost me? Create a budget. You know what I mean? You have to do that. You're going to need promotional materials, you know. Invest that money wisely, and you will see returns. But if you, it's almost like I said, some of these artists that get stuck in showcases where they just do showcases, that's all they do. You know, like they're just, honestly, they're being charged for these showcases too. They're wasting their money. I mean, it's just like a waste of time and a waste of money. You got 30 other artists sitting up there going, is it my turn yet? Is it my turn yet? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and to me, that makes no sense. Does it make sense to do it once or twice? Absolutely. Does it make sense to do it 10, 15, 20 times to base your career around showcases? No. No. I know some artists who are really great locally, and like they don't do anything but showcases. And it's like, unfortunately, luckily for them, they love music, so they're going to be okay, but they're never going to go anywhere. They're just going to do the same thing that they do. So I think that the most important thing is to plan your work and work your plan. And if you plan your work correctly and you work your plan correctly, you can have success. But it's important to have a good plan. It's also important to network and reach out to some people who have done things before so that you can learn from them, to get pointers, to be able to come up, you know. One of the luckiest things I've ever had is I've always had mentors from different places. I mean, I have several mentors constantly. I still have people that I can call who are national artists that I can make, hey, I got a question, you know. And that really helps. I mean, you know, the fact that I can call Haystack and be like, hey, man, what do you think about this? Or I call Duke, be like, Duke Deuce, what do you think about this, bro? You know, it makes a big difference because they're looking at it from a national perspective, not from a local perspective. And getting somebody to help you plan your work and then being committed within yourself to work your plan, it's like two of the most important things that you can do if you want to be successful.
Have you ever worked with any nationally known artists?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, you know, I was on Duke Deuce's Rockstar album. QC artist, Motown Records, Universal Music Group. Real proud of that. That was cool. Before that, I worked with the Queen of Bill Street, Ruby Wilson, B.B. King, some of that blues stuff like that nationally. I had a band with a drummer from Blue Oyster Cult, if you know who Blue Oyster Cult is, old rock band from the 70s. But most recently, yeah, Duke Deuce. I was on the Crunkstar album with Duke Deuce. That's like an album, like Glorilla was on that album. Juicy J was on that album. Like there was a lot. I mean, it was a big album, you know? So it was a pleasure to be a part of that album. I was in a music video with Colt Ford and Haystack. That was a great experience, you know? I had opened for Haystack. Haystack had said, dude, you're like the best opener that I've seen in 20 years, you know? And it was really a great compliment. We developed a relationship. And then he invited me to Nashville to be in a music video with him and Colt Ford, which was great. Got to meet Colt Ford, got to be involved in that. That was really awesome. And so, you know, but yeah, I've done a lot of different stuff like on the national thing. And I feel very fortunate. I'm very blessed for it, you know, for sure. From my personal experience, one of the things that I made a big mistake is I positioned certain people during that point in my life that weren't the right people to position as my leaders, as like part of my team, right? Like my team was built with people who were more focused on their own growth. And so that kind of bit me in the side because, you know, I think that So an example would be artists like to talk about hiring management. And there's a big misconception, especially in hip hop, that like if I hire a manager, that manager's going to tell me what to do. And a manager's actually, if you're a business owner of any business and you hire a manager, that manager is to manage your business. You're the boss, you know? So there's a big misconception. The problem is that you get into this thing where it's like, people start to feel like, oh, I got to listen to what my manager says. Well, you should, because in a perfect world, your manager should have more experience than you, right? But when your manager doesn't have more experience than you, your manager should do, no matter what, regardless, even if they have more experience than you, they should still be about your brand. That's their job. You hired them. You pay them to be about your brand. So one of the biggest mistakes that I made was during all that, I hired a manager who was more concerned about his brand, less about my brand. And so that kind of turned into a thing. I fired him twice. I gave him a second chance. It just was still the same thing. So it is what it is. Happens.
Talk to us about your new single that's coming out soon.
Yeah, man. So I had this awesome new single, man, called "Hard to Be Humble." Really excited about "Hard to Be Humble." It's going to be a lot different. Something that I don't think that anyone's ever heard before in hip hop music. You know, we've got shredding lead guitars in it. Some really dope lines. I think people can relate to it because it is hard to be humble sometimes, especially in this competitive game of hip hop. You know. It's like built over 3 different beats, so it's real artistic. The changes and just it's kind of like a roller coaster through the whole thing, right? So it's a single that I'm real proud of, and looking to drop it real soon. You know, getting out, promoting it, starting to get my moves back. You know, I've taken 2 years off, and when I come back this time, you know, I'm not playing. You know, so. This is a good song. It's kind of showcases, for one, it's really about kind of my experiences, right? Dealing with fake people, dealing with all the extra that goes along with the stinking hip hop thing. You know what I mean? All these people who are just too much, you know? And so it's hard to be humble, bro. When you're an artist and you're like, okay, you know, I'm the shit, like, right? Like that's what we're supposed to do in the hip hop. I'm the shit, bro. And I am. I feel that way. You know what I mean? But I don't have to be an asshole about it, you know? But the problem is that you got me, I'm the shit. Then you got the next dude, he's the shit. You got the next dude, he's the shit. The next dude, he's the shit. It's difficult to be humble. I mean, it's really hard. Get yourself into a room with 10 rappers one time and stand around with 10 rappers all on the same level, okay? All on the same level. And all of a sudden what you see is you got 10 different people who think that they're better than everybody else in the room. And that makes it really difficult. How you going to be humble like that? Like, I still try to stay humble. I'm like, man, look, I've been doing this so long. I've been doing it my whole life, right? So, like, I know that in the artistic side of things, there is no competition. This dude over here has a different style. He's saying something different than what I'm saying. You know what I mean? The way that his audience, the way that he's approaching it is completely different than what my audience is or how I'm approaching things. I understand that, but that dude don't. You know what I'm saying? So it makes it difficult. It's really hard to be humble, you know, because everybody thinks they're the best, bro. And we're in a competitive market. So, you know, if you want to compete with me. I'm good. We do that. But like, really, I'd rather not. I'd rather just be myself and let you be you and like, you know, agree to that. But it's just not the way that it is, you know? So it's very competitive, and with competition, it's hard. It just makes it real hard to be humble. So, the song is pretty much about my personal past experiences being almost too humble, because you can be too humble. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much what that track's about. I'm excited for people to hear it. I think that it's going to be something like you've never heard before, bro. I mean, you know, with the guitars in it, it's got like 4 or 5 different flows in it. You know what I mean? 3 different beats. It's really interesting. It's definitely different. So I'm looking forward to everybody hearing "Hard to Be Humble." It's going to be a good track.
One last thing. What would you say to artists who feel like they are not motivated or discouraged from pursuing careers in music, what would you say to that person that's thinking right now, maybe I should quit doing this? It's too much money that I have to come up with. No one wants to listen to my music because, maybe it just sounds awful and no one will tell me. Having too many yes men around certain artists is kind of bad for artists. So they don't really know objectively how their songs really sound. So they may think to themselves, man, maybe I should just quit doing this. But what if they do have that drive in them deep inside that they once had before when they first fell in love with music, that they're slowly losing as time goes on and they're not on TV or their music is not being played everywhere locally? What do you say to people like that in that type of position?
There's a lot of different things to say to somebody like that, right? Okay, so if you quit, it's over for you. So, yeah, if you have any of those dreams or aspirations and you give it up, then you gave it up, bro. It's definitely, most certainly not going to happen for you. But if you keep, even if you only, put forth half of what you should be putting forth and you're staying relevant, you're going to gain new fans. You're going to grow as an artist. It's just like building any other business, okay? So it's very opinionated, right? Some people like slides and some people like Jordans. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just got to understand that there is no stop. If you really want it, there is no quit. There's no quit, A great example, we've been talking about Duke Deuce. Great example is the song Crunk Ain't Dead by Duke Deuce. Crunk Ain't Dead was nothing for 2 years. And then after 2 years, Crunk Ain't Dead blew up 2 years later after he dropped it. So, and then Duke Deuce got nationally recognized 2 years after he dropped that track. So why 2 years later? I don't know. I really don't know. I can't give you an explanation for that. But I know one thing. I know if he would have stopped, you'd have never ever heard of him, and that song would have never been what it was. So you have to kind of keep in mind that there's a time, there's a process. People say ride that process, and stuff. I think that the most important thing is that if you're an artist, you're going to keep creating art. If 5 people like it, those 5 people should mean the world to you, bro. If 500 people like it, those 500 people should mean the world to you. But it's going to take you a minute to get from 5 to 500. So you have to understand that the only way that you're going to get from 5 people to 500 is to keep going. To continue to learn to grow as an artist, to continue to build your brand and build your business. So like I said, we'll go back to this whole thing of I'm the best in the world, right? I'm the best in the world. I'm going to cut this track right here and the whole world's going to be like, bam, bro, wow. Yeah, unfortunately, that's unrealistic. You can be the best in the world, but let's be real for a second. Nobody knows you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows who you are, bro. The only way that they're going to get to know you is for you to continue to build your brand, market your tracks. There's a lot more than just in the music industry. There's a lot more than just the music. If it was all just based off of the music, it'd be a lot different. But there's a lot more to it than just the music. So, the most important thing is don't quit. Don't give up. Whatever you got to do to motivate yourself. If you have to look at me. I took a 2-year break, bro. On top of the world, man. On top of the world, my brand was growing. But for me, it was time. I needed to take a break. I needed to focus on my family. And as a guy who's been doing music my entire life, I can recognize that. And I know that I can come back now and it's okay. A lot of new guys don't realize that. They're like, oh man, this is my chance. I better take it now. Well, that's true. And if you're ready for that and you can handle it, then that's great. But sometimes we got to take breaks. But the most important thing is you never, ever, ever, ever give up on yourself, bro. It's life in general. That's just a good lesson for life. Don't give up on yourself. Why are you going to give up on yourself, bro? You're never going to do anything if you give up on yourself, And so music is it is a difficult thing because I think music is not as understood, as say if you were going to be a business manager, if you wanted to get a business degree, there's more opportunities for you to find jobs. There's the same amount of opportunities in music. You just don't realize it. Like, people just don't know how to go about it. And so I think that, being educated and not giving up on yourself is like two of the most important things for that.
If people want to get in contact with you personally, or if they want to look your music up,
Yeah.
where would they find your music, and how do they get in contact with you?
So I'm on everything, everything. I think that the best way to find me is to just Google my name, JP the Rockstar, JPTheRockstar, JP the Rockstar. Just Google me. You'll find whatever your listening service is, it'll be there. You'll find my YouTube channel with all my music videos. You can find anything out about me that you want to if you just Google me. If you want to reach out to me, the best way to do that would be through either my email or through a DM. You can hit my DMs. I do check my DMs. I'm not the best with the DMs, but I do check them occasionally. So if you're reaching out to me, another great way would be like go on Facebook on JP the Rockstar, comment on one of my posts, say check your DMs, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that'll help me too because I get so many messages. But yeah, if you want to find me, man, you want to find my music, you want to find out what I'm about, you want to see where I'm at, just Google me, bro. JP the Rockstar.
Thank you so much for coming.
Hey, man, appreciate it, Kelvin. Thanks for having me, bro.